Justin has requested me on Patreon to review The Kid, not the one with Bruce Willis, the Charlie Chaplin movie. Released in 1921, this had Chaplin continued to expand the length of his films after making shorts for years, along with going into more dramatic territory. The result is a touching as well as funny story about the bond between the tramp and the child that he adopts. Almost any movie you've seen about someone who unexpectedly adopts a child and develops a connection has elements borrowed from The Kid. However, what helps is you believe how much they've grown fond of each other and the adoptive father-son relationship. Despite his conditions, the tramp proves himself as a solid father figure, doing his best to care for the child, even though troubles do arise. Knowing about Chaplin's own childhood, there's also a semi-autobiographical element to the story. Chaplin grew up in poverty in London, with usually only his mother taking care of him and his half-brother Sidney. There was always that concern of child services taking him away, which did happen to him when he was sent to a workhouse at age 7. A lot of that is depicted in the movie, which almost seems like an acknowledgement and understanding from Chaplin of the difficulties his mother had raising him. There's an additional tragic aspect to the film, as his first child died at only 3 days old, shortly before production began. So The Kid is very much about Chaplin's desire to be a father, and when he's sad about losing his son, I don't think he's acting. Despite the comedy, The Kid has a Dickensian-like feeling, which adds to the poignancy. Chaplin never forgot where he came from, and through this movie and others, especially in modern times, he wanted to show how the poor lived and the conditions they were often subjected to. One of the strengths of the movie is Jackie Coogan's performance of the Kid. Since they would be sharing several comedic and emotional scenes together, it was necessary for Chaplin to find a child actor who could be in sync with him, which I'm sure was not an easy task. He eventually found one with Coogan, and the two make for a fantastic pairing. Nowadays, Coogan is primarily known for his role as Uncle Fester on the Addams Family television series, but The Kid is what I'm most associating with. They work so brilliantly off each other, which elevates their scenes even more. The funniest scene in the movie is when the tramp and the kid make money from a window repairing scheme. It's a hilarious sequence as the kid breaks windows in the neighborhood and the tramp shows up to repair them. There's a lot of hijinks involving a policeman that escalate more and more, and it's an example of how well they work together. The pancake scene is also delightful. However, the drama works tremendously too, with the moment where the kid is taken away by child services being the most heartbreaking. Throughout it all, his real mother has her own subplot where she grapples with giving up her baby years ago, and this leads to some interesting plot developments. Even though the movie only runs 50 minutes, Chaplin still managed to pack a lot of story in there and find the right tonal balance between the comedic and dramatic scenes. Several years later, he would add a musical score, which features some of his best and most touching work. The emotional pieces are beautiful, and the more comical music also fit the scenes well. Something that stands out as different in The Kid compared to Chaplin's other work is the religious imagery. Chaplin was not overtly religious, even writing in his autobiography that he was often bored and disinterested whenever he accompanied his mother to church. A lot of his movies are also lacking in religious symbolism. The Kid is a rare exception, though. For example, the Kid and the tramp are seen praying together before eating and going to bed. There's also the dream sequence where Chaplin imagines he and the rest of the neighborhood are angels being manipulated by the devil. The scene seems to have a little connection to the rest of the plot. I guess it could be interpreted as the tramp's worry about the safety of the neighborhood as a place to raise a child, but I also think Chaplin found the image of the tramp flying around with wings funny. And then there's the random moment early on when it cuts to Jesus carrying the crucifix. That last one is a shot I've never understood why Chaplin included and how it relates to the mother. In any case, The Kid represents another achievement for him in his fantastic ability of combining comedy with heartbreak. It was a terrific pairing of Chaplin with a co-star who was almost his equal, despite being 25 years younger. By the way, it was announced a few years ago that a French animation studio would be producing a science fiction remake of The Kid, where New York is flooded and the kid meets a robotic Charlie Chaplin. A poster was even revealed, and it was announced that Jacob Tremblay would voice the kid, and Rupert Wyatt, the director of Rise of the Planet of the Apes, will be co-writing it. There have not been any updates since 2019, but I'm strangely fascinated because of how bizarre it sounds. It's possible it won't ever reach screens, but it was approved by the Chaplin estate, and I thought it was worth mentioning. Anyway, if you've seen The Kid, let me know your thoughts in the comments, and thank you for the request, Justin.